You also are an author. It was easy for me to say an author.
An author,
You wrote
yeah.
a book about Nashville.
I did, yeah. And in all these rooms and all these places I've got to be in Nashville, I've heard a lot of stories from, oh man, just people who wrote these giant, ridiculous songs, such as, I don't know, Jim McBride with Chattahoochee, Song of the Year back in the 90s, and that sort of thing. Him and I were on the same, with the same publisher for a while, and so we wrote a bunch of songs, and he would tell me all these stories about Alan Jackson and how getting his start and that whole train and being on it, and then he'd talk about writing Chattahoochee, and he'd tell me actually the house where he wrote it at and what he was thinking when he saw it. He saw this magazine sitting there, like a National Geographic Traveler magazine, and saw something about the Chattahoochee River. So he's like, that's pretty cool, and he started making rhymes, way down yonder on the Chattahoochee, it gets hotter than a hoochie coochie. And he really thought, well, I'll have to find something different for hoochie coochie later. But he never did, obviously, and that became one of the hookiest parts of the song. Took it to Alan. Alan loved the idea, so they finished it up, and Alan started playing it out live, and then it became just the giant hit it was. But wrote a book.
It still is. I mean, it's still one of the funnest summer songs.
Yeah, instantly recognizable, and everybody loves it, and will dance to it. And so yeah, I started hearing songs like that, but with all these other giant hits. Again, The Dance, Friends in Low Places. I'm a huge Garth fan, so I love those ones. But Achy Breaky Heart, I Will Always Love You, giant songs. The spots where they were actually crafted and the ideas came about, or if there was something in town that sparked an idea. One of my best friends, Corey Batten, he was writing a song called She Wouldn't Be Gone, Blake Shelton, and didn't know he was writing it at the time, but him and his co-writer were sitting outside a little cafe in Nashville, saw some red flowers, and that sparked the first line, red roadside wildflowers, if I'd have only picked you. And so you can go to those red flowers, you can actually see those flowers in Nashville and see what sparked these #1 worldwide hits for these artists. So it's based around that. Yeah, there's a lot more to the book, but it's called Now You Know Nashville. You can check that out, nowyouknownashville.com.
Where can you get it?
You can get it on Amazon, but also if you're, you can also download it to your device if you just want to check out the text version with all the pictures. But you can get a hard copy at Amazon, and if you're in Nashville itself, it's in pretty much all the retailers. You can go to Country Music Hall of Fame, Ernest Tubb, Fontanelle, Hermitage, all the places that you'll probably go as a Nashville tourist, and look on the bookshelf, it should be sitting there.
Say the name again?
Nowyouknownashville.com.
Nowyouknownashville.com.
Yep.
Good restaurant? Do you talk about restaurants at
all?
all?
Talk about restaurants. There's a whole section on foodies, for foodies, has a listing of all the restaurants that have been featured in Diners, Drives, and Dives, or $40 a day, or all that good stuff. Best thing I ever ate. So those are listed in there. Also throw in a few. I tried to keep my own personal opinion out of the book. However, when it came to food, I couldn't help it. I had to actually dive in and tell them, oh well, if you want the best burger, go to the pharmacy, or if you want to, have some great pancakes, Pancake Pantry's the place, or if you want a great drink, then the Patterson House is as unique as it gets. And so I threw a few little editorials in there just to make sure I covered all the bases.
What was the impetus of writing a book? I mean, what made you think, hey, I want to write a book about Nashville?
Just again started to come across all these stories. They were all collected in my head, and I'm a huge reader. I'm a very avid reader, reading all the time, just across the board. And I'm also a pop culture enthusiast. Anytime I go somewhere, I want to see what's happening in the world and see what happened in that location, such as, just passing by the Sand Creek Massacre site and knowing how historical that is, but that's nearby. And you were talking about the Santa Fe Trail going through here, and that's so that piques my interest. I want to go to those spots and see where it all happened. And so I'll read books like that all day long. I've read a bunch of those, and so when I started to get the info on Nashville, I thought, you know what? I've read it before. I could probably do this. I'm technically a writer. I'm a songwriter. I've just never been a book writer. So hey, let's just change the process a little bit. And it took me a year and a half. Took a year and a half of going all around Nashville with these legendary guys like Jerry Kennedy, who was a legendary producer, and he's the guy who actually played on the Pretty Woman thing. That's his guitar. So when he's playing that, awesome guitarist. But he took me out to Music Row and showed me all around the row what was going on and what he remembered about it. Jerry Bradley, the son of Owen and Harold Bradley, he took me out. He was Owen and Harold were the founders of Music Row. They set up the first recording studio
how old are
on
those
Music
guys?
Row. Well, they're both passed, but Jerry's still around. So Jerry Kennedy, one of the sons, took me around. His brother Gordon Kennedy is a giant songwriter around town. wrote Change the World and all the stuff, but for Eric Clapton. And so this family is just this huge dynasty for Nashville. And just getting their thoughts, they took me around and showed me what was going on and what they remembered, and some of the stuff they could tell me, but I couldn't print. They had a lot of those stories too. They said, well, I'll tell you this, but do not print that, otherwise there'll be a lot of upset wives, so some of the stuff like that. I'd love to release that book, but I can't, unfortunately.